Most gardeners think cold composting is just what happens when you're lazy about turning a pile, and honestly, that misunderstanding costs them years of soil improvement. They stack organic matter, wait forever, get a half-rotted mess, and conclude cold composting, well, doesn't really work. The real consequence is predictable, inconsistent fertility, nitrogen tie-up, pest problems, and beds that never develop stable structure because decomposition is happening randomly instead of biologically. Cold composting works incredibly well when you understand what's actually doing the work. It just doesn't forgive sloppy assumptions. When gardeners flip cold compost piles repeatedly, they disrupt fungal networks and slow the very process they're trying to speed up. I turn cold piles maybe once or twice a year, and only if compaction becomes obvious. Most of the time, gravity, insects, and moisture gradients do the mixing. If you want to support fungi, include coarse materials, twigs, corn stalks, sunflower stems, and shredded cardboard create air pockets and long-term carbon sources. Don't pulverize everything. Structure is not a flaw. Cold compost takes longer because it builds better compost. This is where trade-offs matter. Cold compost won't be ready in 3 weeks. It might take 6 months to a year. What you get in return is compost that's more stable, less salty, and better suited for long-term soil health. In my raised beds, cold finished compost improves tilth noticeably more than hot compost. Water infiltration improves, compaction decreases, and worm activity increases. Plants respond with steadier growth instead of short nutrient spikes. For small gardens, this means planning ahead. Start cold compost in fall, so it's usable by spring or summer. Layer leaves and garden waste aggressively when materials are abundant. Let winter moisture and freeze-thaw cycles do part of the work for free. Using cold compost directly in beds without finishing it can work, but timing matters. One advantage of cold composting is flexibility. Partially decomposed material can be applied as mulch or incorporated shallowly months before planting. The key is avoiding nitrogen drawdown at critical stages. If I'm applying immature cold compost to a bed, I do it at least 6 to 8 weeks before planting heavy feeders. I keep it on the surface under mulch whenever possible. Roots will find nutrients as microbes release them, and soil biology stays intact. For light feeders or perennial systems, I'm even less cautious. Fruit trees, berry beds, and herbs respond well to slow-release fertility from ongoing decomposition. Cold composting and hydroponics don't mix directly, but they still inform each other. Cold compost has no place inside a hydroponic system. Solids, microbes, and organic byproducts will destabilize nutrient solutions and clog equipment, but the principles still matter. Understanding slow biological breakdown helps you avoid over-sanitizing root zones and over-correcting nutrient imbalances. In my hydroponic setups, I keep composting completely separate, but I use vermicompost extracts sparingly as microbial inoculants when appropriate, filtered carefully and applied at low rates. The lesson is the same: biology works on its own timeline. Forcing it usually backfires. Pests and pathogens are usually a management issue, not a composting flaw. Cold compost piles get blamed for rodents, flies, and disease when the real problem is exposure and imbalance. Food scraps left uncovered attract pests. Wet, compacted zones invite flies. Diseased plant material piled carelessly spreads problems. I bury food scraps deep in carbon layers. I cap piles with leaves or straw. I avoid adding diseased material unless it's broken down under active fungal decomposition where competition suppresses pathogens naturally. Cold composting doesn't mean careless composting. It means letting the right organisms dominate.